Well, chat. It is time yet again for trash. And as we all know, trash on the internet, especially on YouTube, kind of begins around, like, the opinions begin to form around Ben Shapiro and other writers like him. And Fox News and stuff, obviously, for the normies. But, the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro and his lackeys therein all definitely play a role in the modern, air quotes, culture war thing that happens around here. But Ben Shapiro has been particularly, and him and Matt Walsh have been particularly interested in the kids lately. They've been like, but think of the kids when they talk to the gays and the lesbians and the bisexuals and the transes. Think of the kids. Think of what your existence does to the kids. Have you ever thought about, like, how when like say you're a trans woman and you're walking through you're walking to your mailbox because you're in quarantine, but the kid across the street sees you walk to your mailbox while they're in quarantine, and then, like, their neighbor has been traditionally a man since they were a little baby, and now they're like 7 years old, and now their neighbor is a beautiful lady, but it's the same person. How are they gonna explain why you got bussin' titties in a nice dump truck ass? Think about that. Think about how the kids have to react to your glow up, transes. For shame. So anyway, he's mad about preschool teaching gender identity. So let's see what Ben Shapiro's mad about. Kids aren't allowed to have human bodies, or to look at their human bodies, or to understand their bodies, okay? Kids must be left in the dark about their bodies for as long as possible, all right? It preserves their innocence or something?
The parents' movement is very real.
Or it you know what it really does? I'll save it.
And it is not going away. I know the left wishes for the parents' movement to go away. I know that they wish for radical social activists to be able to indoctrinate children without anyone looking over their shoulder. They get to make all the social standards lest someone, God forbid, be offended. But guess what? Parents are not going to let up on the oversight here. They're not going to give up on what their kids learn in school, because we can all see it happening. All this stuff is now being exposed for everyone to see.
So, in my opinion, okay, like, let's just say we're worried about the kids, okay? Conservatives think just because you jizz in someone or get jizzed in that bestows upon you knowledge. It definitely teaches you one thing, and that is how expensive it is to have a kid. So if we're really worried about the kids, right? And Ben Shapiro is like, we're worried about the kids. We want them to be happy and innocent. Although mostly innocent. I don't care about their happiness, to be honest. Mostly innocent. They need to be, innocent. And then the other group is like, yeah, but shouldn't the kids be happy and safe? Shouldn't their safety be involved in the conversation here? And knowing about their bodies. And then the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro and other chuds say, no, they shouldn't know about their bodies. Now, the motivation of a leftist like myself and many of you in chat about sex ed is not just because we have bodies and it's hard to, like, there's the matter of factness of you have a body. You don't have to hide the body. There's nothing inherently, like, wrong with your body insofar as, like, a decency to another person is. Like, we all have bodies. It's fine to talk about them and to understand their functions. And then there's the safety aspect of, like, kids knowing their bodies for some other reasons, kind of bad ones, ones that involve adults violating their consent, or obviously other peers as well, not always adults, I guess, other peers. If you know what your body is, you don't have to tell, like, a preschool kid, all sorts of, extra information, I guess you could say, for their age group. But knowing what their vagina is, knowing what their penis is, knowing what the pieces do, like, relative to their age. You don't need to talk about pregnancy or anything like that. or STDs. You can just talk about it's for, you pee out of it. You have to keep it safe. It can hurt when people hurt it. And no one should be able to touch it except for you. A doctor probably, or probably just say nobody. No adult should be able to, and if they do try to, they have to talk to me or mommy or daddy or whatever other title you have for your parent, whatever you got going on. They should talk to us first before they get that. And you can say no. You don't have to be touched, even if I say I want to clean you, because toddlers and stuff. Any people in here, parents, there's a grace period of time in a child's life where they're old enough to understand that they have a little bodily autonomy, but not old enough to be hygienic with their bodily autonomy, and so you still have to do shit for them. Luckily, I've never had to do this, but 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there, there's still that weird period and can get a little awkward. At least in my opinion, it was awkward. When I was a kid, I remember that line. The line hit for me, and I was like, I don't want anyone touching my junk anymore. I remember that. Now, I think... Now, Ben Shapiro's take, and we'll get back to Ben Shapiro and interrupt him less in a second, but I think it's important, is kids should be in the dark about this shit. Kids should not know about their pieces. This is like the thesis of this. He's going to talk about a little bit more. I scrubbed through this a little bit. I normally don't watch the videos at all, but I just wanted to make sure it was interesting, because Ben Shapiro can sometimes be boring. He's a little interesting here, insofar as I disagree with him greatly. They seem to be talking anatomy, at least in the section that I looked at, and I don't understand the utility from any perspective, even a religious one. I don't understand the utility of not telling children their anatomy and having them understand their bodies and letting them know that they have control of that it's not other people's property or anything. The only way that I could understand someone not wanting to do that, there's two. Obviously, number one is a misguided understanding of the ideas of what decency is, right? Which is definitely what I think Ben Shapiro is. The number two thing that I don't think is necessarily talked about, because they sling it at the left so much we don't think about it really. There's a lot of people out here who don't want kids to know they have bodily autonomy so that they can violate that bodily autonomy, okay? In not so many words. Now, I'm not saying Ben Shapiro is that version of that. I actually don't think Ben Shapiro is, he has children. He seems to be particularly protective, but not in like a creepy way. Matt Walsh, on the other hand, does give me those vibes. Just saying. Not that it's true. But the vibes are true.
Again, it starts in places overseas like the UK or across the border like in Canada, but it doesn't stay there. I mean, over in the UK right now, we now have students being told to stop calling teachers Mr. and Mrs.
Is that his normal voice? It sounds like he's doing a thing right now. It sounds like he's doing this a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, there's not really a word to describe what I'm doing right now, but you can hear it in my inflection. Like, is he doing that right now? It sounds a little bit put on. Radio puker? Is that what that is? Radio puke?
According to the National Education Union over in Britain, British teachers are now being told that students should not refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. in order to foster a gender-free education model.
Should I talk like this a little bit more often? Do you guys like that a little bit more? It's got a velvety smoothness to it. It's not too bad, but it doesn't feel real. Yeah, it doesn't feel real to me. It's a persona, right? Yeah, it reads fake to me.
This is according to Breitbart reporting. Dr. Ellie Barnes told educators in a lecture entitled Getting the Language Right for 2022 that pupils should use gender-neutral terms such as teacher when in the classroom. The 90-minute webinar from Dr. Barnes, a copy of which was obtained by the UK Telegraph, went on to advocate for classrooms to abandon other gender-specific terms like boys, girls, son, and mother in favor of alternatives like students, pupils, child, and parent. During the lecture, Dr. Barnes introduced a code of conduct to be introduced at the start of term and said those who disagreed with the far-left agenda should be barred from the school. The Educate and Celebrate chief also said schools should be introducing gender-free uniforms, saying, don't say a boy's fit or a girl's fit. The charity's website boasts thousands of nurseries, primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, and businesses have signed up for their Pride in Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Award. Okay, and this sort of stuff is happening all over the world. This is not restricted.
It's interesting that they can't even like show the text of it to make that at least a little visually interesting. It's hard to pay attention to him just reading that, in my opinion. I see nothing wrong with this either. I don't know.
To what's happening in Britain,
I don't know.
Where they are recommending how to transform your school into an LGBT plus friendly place. Right? It's not just in Britain or in Canada.
He just said it was bad to do LGBT friendly stuff. What? I think that's fine. Like, let them wear what they want insofar as the uniform's concerned, dude.
It's happening here in the United States. It's starting in some of these woke independent private schools, but it's not going to remain there because it never does. So Breitbart obtained exclusive footage from the National Association of Independent Schools.
Exclusive footage.
And National Association of Independent Schools had a flagship conference in 2020 with an hour-long training workshop.
Okay.
And it featured discussions about how to talk to kids about gender, sexuality, and identity.
Oh, no.
And they've released clips of this, of the NIIS. Okay, now this is what the teachers' unions across the country would like rammed into public schools as well. So this is not restricted to the sort of stuff that you get at Crossroads School in Los Angeles.
Rammed. I don't know about you. Like, from the perspective of a person who, by the way, Jake Bingo, from the perspective of a person who went to school for education, there you go. Because it happens to come up a lot in these conversations. If you're not playing Jake Bingo, by the way, you should be. Someone put a link to Jake Bingo in there. You can play Bingo, and I'll be talking, and you'll just win a bingo every time. Jake says, free space. There you go. There's your links to Jake Bingo. Let me know when you get a bingo. So, from the perspective of a person that used to be interested in teaching the kids, I don't think any teacher ever wants to ram any specific agenda into the curriculum except for the reality. Like, I think Ben Shapiro and other people who haven't actually done this are under the impression that because they had like teachers that gave opinions, that like teachers are trained to give opinions. But I gotta be honest, the only opinions from teachers that I remember them having were right-wing ones, if they ever brought their opinions up. Because the right-wing teachers are the ones that don't give a fuck about the ethics of not giving kids a swaying sort of like education. The idea is to try to be just fact-based unless you get into, portions where there is opinion, like a politics, like a class on governments, for instance, encourages debate. But a class on, say, science does not encourage debate. That is not the nature of the class. And you're taught these things. You're taught to teach. Surprise. It's like the cramming stuff. Like, honestly, 100% honest, I think 100% every child in America stands to benefit from a comprehensive and like a full and comprehensive curriculum of sexual education throughout schooling, from preschool and forward. Now, that means a lot of different things depending on different ages. Like, we're not talking about sex to toddlers. We're talking about consent and literally just bodily autonomy. That's kind of the extent of it. But eventually those kids are going to have periods and boners and chest hair and pit hair and sexual thoughts and porn on their phones. And I think it's important to get out in front of that shit. Now, with that opinion, and I think most people in chat agree, it is 100% beneficial. I'm not trying to force any kid to go through that. To force them? No, not a chance. Not a chance would I force a single child to experience any form of education. I would like all education to be, I choose to be here kind of thing. You know what I mean? I like, in a perfect world, one without capital necessities, I think there is, to some extent, I understand the freedom argument of being able to choose not to engage in certain types of education. Sure, I get it. Some things could be counter to the sensibilities of people, and I'm not trying to police that. That said, I think it's 100% detrimental to the child's development if you do so. And I would love to be able to let's just say that. You can choose not to, but let it be known. Your child will 100% be worse off for not having gone through this. And you, the parent who chose not to do this, in this case Ben Shapiro, you will be the reason they are worse off for this. I can't recommend enough like the importance of comprehensive sexual education. And you can sit in the classes, Ben. I don't even fucking care. I don't think I would be saying very much that Ben Shapiro could debate bro me down in saying that anything would be, necessarily inappropriate, depending on the age of the kids and whatever. Like, even if I taught it, and I'm not like certified to teach sex education. I'm not certified to teach anything anymore. I'd have to go get recertified. But like, my goodness, dude, it's so pearl clutchy and like, I don't know. I just don't think he knows what sex education is.
Just recognize
Which
this
is
is
not
what the left
surprising.
would like. And they would like
By
to
the
do
way.
this at points of gun if they could get away with it, because they have no problem with using government force. Everything, according to the left, is either
I met a girl in high school in advanced anatomy class that thought she peed out of her clit.
compulsory or banned. Those are the only two categories.
Oh, I know.
Everything
I do better
not
than
compulsory is forbidden.
who I
Okay,
got.
so here are some of the
Taught
clips
sex
from this
ed,
piece of educational content produced by an NAIS conference
All right, let's hear it.
contractor. This one talking about the everybody tool and how it should be introduced to small children.
Okay.
With the younger children starting in pre-K, we talk about their bodies, about the parts that they were born with, about penises and vaginas and whether that makes somebody a boy or a girl, but also their feelings. What do they feel like inside? Do they feel like a boy or a girl? What does their head say?
Don't worry, it won't enter the schools. I mean, they're just training teachers to actually put this in the schools, but don't.
Okay, but here's the thing that happens, Ben. As someone who was in special ed all my school life, I can say it's broken. You graduated in 2012? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go to special education, but this is bad. I have no problem with it. Now, Ben, you realize that a lot of those kids are going to be like, yeah, I feel like a boy. I'm a boy. I have a pee-pee, and I feel like a boy. Right? And you're like, okay, cool. That's fine. It teaches validity to everybody, not only queer kids, right? Not only kids that have gender issues going on, right? And it just fosters a space for someone to be like Ben Shapiro simply does not deny that trans kids exist, right? That gender nonconforming kids exist. They are doing it. He's mad that they exist, but they exist. And since they exist, like, trans people exist, therefore they deserve respect. Like, human respect. And they deserve to be, because there is such a large quantity of trans kids, right? They deserve to be included, which is what inclusivity is. They deserve to be included in the language of educational spaces. That's it. That's the whole thing. Just included. Not specialized, not touted, not treated any different in a good way. Like, cis kids aren't treated poorly, and the trans kids aren't treated well. They're all treated the same. That's it. And being included in the vernacular of the space is how you reach sameness. Like, again, like, every chud that argues the trans stuff is always coming from a cis-normative perspective. Of course, I'm cis, but, like, it's just because there are more of us, the cisses, doesn't mean that we are the only people that deserve language to be catered to. Like, we are not the default. We are just very common. And it's okay to understand that we are common, but it's not okay to then say, well, and then we're the only people that matter, right? We do matter. Cis people matter. Oh. But they don't matter more than trans people, and trans people don't matter more than cis people. That's all it is. That's the whole thing. But not including a large group of human beings, simply because you do not experience a similar thing to them, doesn't make any fucking sense to me, Ben. Especially not in an educational setting where you would like all children, irrespective of the innate qualities of themselves, to be able to get a quality experience, and their gender and sexuality not being highlighted, right? Like, think about this. If gender and sexuality are talked about normally, and it is normalized that there are trans kids and gay kids and cis kids and straight kids and whatever, they won't be giving a shit about any of this in the future. Now, there's a little red string theory. Some Republicans who want to seek office in the future or would like to retain power understand that they will need these demographics to exist down the road in order to keep making a buck off of them. So, part of this might be a capitalism long-term play, but nonetheless, this is going to happen. So, the only thing that's going to happen negatively, right, is a setback for trans kids growing up, like the next generation of kids, like the Zoomers right now, I guess, in the whatever the is before the Zoom or after the Zoomers. Who's after the Zoomers? The Alphas? I don't even know what they're called. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a little bit of a setback, but every single Zoomer is going to know a trans person. I mean, it just is going to happen. Like, it just doesn't make it, like, there's so many trans people now. Every single one of them. They're going to grow up with trans athletes that are their favorite. They're going to grow up with trans actors and actresses. They're gonna grow up with trans comedians and trans characters in media. And you lost, Ben. You lost. They're going to be sympathetic, correctly so, and empathetic, and possibly also just trans themselves. They're going to be sympathetic or empathetic towards trans people. And this legislation will eventually pass. This is all that happens every single time, socially speaking, right? If something becomes mainstream enough, and trans issues are mainstream, chat. They are. Once you just wait. There's gonna be in a few years. There's gonna be some sort of token. Definitely an athlete. The athlete will do it. The token. First, like the Jackie Robinson of trans athletes is going to happen. And I know this has already happened, but I mean a major sport, not fucking pole vaulting. Apologies to the pole vaulters. Apologies to wrestling, state wrestling championships. But a real sport, chat. It could also like trickle down to the real sports, non-sports, like NASCAR. Probably not NASCAR, but something. I wouldn't be surprised if it was basketball. Or football would be a little tougher. Hockey could happen. Or baseball. One of those four major sports, probably basketball, and it probably won't be in the pros. It'll probably be like collegiate. But once this happens, right? That's it. That's the end. Trickle down? Sort of. Social trickle down is real. Trans people are basically normalized. Not all the way. Now this is the governmental aspect, right? But like, everyone kind of just knows trans people, and like, if you don't know people physically, you know them online. And eventually, their kids are going to be trans. They're going to fall in love with a trans person. One of their best friends is going to come out as trans and change their mind. Their parents or their uncles or their because people start to feel empathy for those they love. And when oops, it happened to me. The Dick Cheney stuff. His daughter was a lesbian, and then he's like, well, I guess, I'd bomb her if she was brown, but she can marry now. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just stuff like that. Like I genuinely don't understand why you desperately try to hold on to these things. Conservatism is so fucking brain dead, dude. Like, where's the freedom in not allowing?
Don't worry, this won't enter the schools. Here is a recommendation on what
schools
should be taught to pre-K kids. We're talking about pre-K would be like 4-year-olds.
I had been given a title to a book, so I went to our school library to pull it. and I pulled it thinking I had the right one. I didn't. And I read through, I'm like, this is really progressive stuff, but it was my first year, so I'm like, okay, we're just super progressive. So I went in there guns blazing, and I just went for it. And I ended up talking about the vulva and the labia with pre-cares, and it was just one of those moments, everybody's looking in horror, and I'm like, oh no, I made a really big mistake.
Yep. Did you know, this might be a shock to you, children with vaginas have vulvas and labia. Holy fucking shit. Even the kid, yeah, I know. Did you know, by the way, did you know that adults are just kids that developed? You didn't just get a vagina. Some of you just got vaginas. Okay, you can opt into getting a vagina at some point. And you'll then have vulvas and labias. All of them. Have as many as you want. Yeah, wild stuff. Wild stuff. Kids have vulvas and labias. And clitorises. What? Little kids with dicks have dicks and balls and tips and foreskins. And they should know all of this shit. They should know it all. You know what's wild? I bet if my dad had managed not to drink himself to literal death by this time, he may agree with this today. But you know what's fucking weird is that he would disagree with himself from 30 years ago, well, 29 years ago, when I learned what my dick and balls were at about 4 years old. Yeah. You have a head of your dick, you got a shaft of your dick. He probably had a little bit of more of an accent to me. And some intersex kids have both. Obviously, I think an intersex kid is a different story where their genitalia might be very, very understood by them if they have, unless it's, well, I guess I'm an intersex kid with, since you mentioned it, with genitalia that resembles something else. But sometimes intersex doesn't show up like on the surface. Sometimes let me find out later in life. You're like, oh shit, I have ovaries? Yo. You know what I mean? Also, knowing the names of parts can literally help protect children. Yep. True.
Well, I mean, but the fact that she even thought that was remotely acceptable demonstrates. I mean, you can listen to the woman who's preaching this, right? I just thought it was really progressive. If they thought they could get away with it, they would get away with it.
Getting away with what? Using anatomical terms to 4-year-olds? What does he think happens if a 4-year-old learns that they have fucking labia? What does that mean? Now they just know a thing about stuff. I don't understand. I actually don't get it. I don't know what's gotten away with. Also, Ben, you knew the rules. You knew them. Can't believe it, dude.
So only when people started more of us need to look on in horror at what they are attempting to teach small children. It's crazy. Here's what they're recommending to teach second graders. Okay, my daughter is in second grade. Mm-hmm. My daughter is currently 8 years old. She just turned 8. This is what they would like to teach you.
An 8-year-old second grader? Wait, what the fuck? Preschool, 4 years old. Kindergarten, 5. First grade, 6. Second grade, 7. Maybe it's a late one. I guess it's viable. Seems late. I was 6. That's interesting. I was 6 in second grade. What? Weird. Using correct terms for genitals actually protects kids because when that kid tells an adult that someone's touching them, if they use the accurate terms, it alarms and informs adults faster than they were. Yeah, exactly.
7-year-olds, 8-year-olds in schools.
Okay. It's an old
By second grade, we move on explicitly to gender identity and talk about it again in terms of your head and your heart and your body parts matching up.
Seems
and
reasonable.
does that work for you?
Get a pop filter.
What
Suggestion.
happens if it doesn't? What are the other parts of you that have to do with your gender identity?
Wait, is there nothing on his computer screen? Is this all? This I've never noticed this. Has this always been a lie, or is there like a thing on here? Because he's
And
using
what
the
are the
pad.
parts of you that don't? And the kids draw wonderful self-portraits again, but dealing with all aspects of their identity.
These are folks who are indoctrinating children in sexual fluidity.
Wait, was that real? Indoctrinating children into sexual fluidity. What? No, it's not professing anyone's sexuality as a thing. It's just talking about it. That's God damn it. Talking about stuff does not mean we approve of the stuff. Otherwise, this would mean you approve of this, Ben. I have no idea how you... No one is trying to tell kids that they're gay. They're just saying that if the kid is gay, it's fine.
At the age of 7 or 8.
So
this is what they
weird.
want. Okay, don't
This
let
is
them
what.
pretend.
What do you mean? This is what they want? Okay, why do they want that? Why would they want kids to be gender fluid or sexual? He said sexually fluid. Why would anyone want kids to be like pansexual? I don't understand whose long game that is. You know what I mean? Whose big plan was it to turn the kids into pansexuals? God damn it.
This isn't what they want. This is what they want. They want to teach your kids the way they want to teach your kids, and you're supposed to have no say. And if you protest, then this makes you a bigot.
Yeah, you're a bigot, but I mean, like, that's your choice, man.
According to them. We're not going to forget all this. I mean, honestly, I'd love to see any Democratic candidate asked about this sort of stuff. Do you disagree? Really, let's get you on the record, because this seems like fairly obvious stuff.
Okay, I'm not a Democratic candidate, but I would happily talk about this. I bet people would vote for it more often if people just talked about it in a reasonable way. Because usually what you have people defending is like Nancy Pelosi, not knowing the fucking conversation, is like, yeah, I just want to get voted for again so I can buy stock options before they blow up. Diamond hands, you know what I mean? That's what Nancy Pelosi sounds like.
Get a Democratic candidate in a purple district to announce whether they agree or disagree that gender identity should be taught to 6-year-olds. I mean, first of all, gender identity shouldn't be taught to anybody because it's a bunch of anti-scientific bullcrap.
It's bullcrap. It's not. No, it isn't. Do you know how I know it's not anti-science, Ben? Is because people who aren't gender conforming like you or myself exist. You know what I mean? Like they exist and they do stuff. Like they're people. They're human people. And they're like, yeah, this is how I identify. And you're like, oh, well, shit. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, yeah, it's definitely a thing. Oh, shit. How many more people do that? Oh, lots. And you show them all your trans friends and your I guess he's also sexual. So pansexual, your pansexual trans kids. Like, shit, there's a few of them. Well, okay. I guess we'll include those people too. Everybody in the party bus towards Education Town. Oh, Nick. Thanks for the 50 biddies.
But certainly it should not be taught to 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And yet this is precise. The left knows they have to get them at 6, 7, or 8 because otherwise their brains might develop such that
What do you mean?
they know that this is stupidity.
Ben, that doesn't make any sense. They weren't teaching that when these people who grew up like started being able to be themselves and advocated for that. Like, what do you mean? This is like so weird. Like like trans this trickle down sort of idea of like you can catch the gay if you're just sort of like clued in on it. Like Like, you have one teacher who sucks some dick and has a beard, and you're like, wait a second, do I want to suck dick? Maybe. You know what I think? I think it's okay if you question yourself and be like, hey, do I want to suck a dick? Because as a person with a dick, the more people that say yes to that, the better, frankly. I think that's an okay stance. Pro sucking dick seems fine to me. Right? And then if someday, like imagine you're pro sucking dick, and at 6 years old, when you're not sucking anything, right, except your thumb, right? 6-year-olds aren't sexual creatures. We know this. They're not. A human being doesn't get sexual until you're in doing puberty stuff, right? 6-year-olds aren't out here pining for each other in the way that adults do. Okay, understanding that it's okay to be attracted to men is a good thing. You don't want kids to feel alienated about their innate, like being. You just don't want to bake shame into their life. And I understand that I'm talking to a religious man about that, and religious men might be the most insecure people on planet Earth. But nonetheless, we could create more happy and healthy and learning children by simply including all children, not just cis straight ones, all children into the educational process. It just doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense to not. It seems to me that the only people that are scared of kids being trans are fucking transphobes. I've never heard someone say, like, what would be the negative for being trans? Like, just you're a trans person. What's the negative aspect of it? There's nothing negative about it. The negative experiences that trans people face are not due to being trans, they're due to society's interaction with it. So that doesn't seem like a trans person problem, that seems like a societal problem to me. The negative is that you're hot and young forever. All right, that's probably not true. However, you can I mean, hey. You can bet on that though. Okay? I don't know about the young forever aspect of that claim. I thought that was Dorian Gray. Well, when you transition, you do the official way to transition. As a friend of many trans people, let me tell you the secret, guys. The best way to transition is, and the most effective way to transition, if you do want the youthful glow forever, is to get someone to do a pre-transition portrait of you, and then to hide that in your attic and never look at it. And that way, it sort of acts as like a Horcrux for the part of your soul that you chip off, and delete after you stop flying incognito and live your true life. That's actually true. You're like hot Voldemort.
Kids are extraordinarily docile at 6 or 7 years old when it comes to imbibing stupidity and then believing it.
Ben, you're Ben Shapiro. Come on.
The left knows this, which is why this is the age group that they are aiming at. Go to a bunch of 30-year-olds who've already been living in the world for a while, and you say,
I'll talk to 30-year-olds about their transphobia being stupid. Literally any transphobe. Go ahead. I'd love to right now. That sounds fun.
a boy can be a girl. Most of them will look at you cross-eyed unless they've already been indoctrinated with this garbage in college.
I don't care what age you are. Bring your
one more
transphobic
clip
dads to chat.
of the National Association of Independent Schools sexual material training for young kids.
Gender identity is how you feel inside. It's what you feel like in your heart and in your head, just like the language that we used when they were younger. But it's something personal. It's something that's unique to you. It's something that you get to decide. Gender expression is what you share with the world, how you dress, how you act, what you're interested in, what you put out there. And that, again, is your choice. It's something that you can change from day to day. It's completely up to you. Sexual orientation is who you are emotionally and physically attracted to. And so that's how we talk about it with the kids and introduce them to it.
Hey, do you want this in your schools?
Yes.
We're not going to forget about what your agenda is.
Yes, I do want this in schools. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But the reason specifically is so that we have happy kids that can be themselves and learn in an environment that they don't have to, conform innate aspects of their life to flourish in. You know what I mean? I think every kid being every kid being as maximally comfortable as they can in school is good. Frankly, that should, for any aspect of human life, every human should be as maximally comfortable as we can try to strive for. You know what I mean? In a reasonable way. Like all the time.
So we're not going to forget about your bad governance over the past several years, which materialized unbelievably fast. There used to be like a 5 to 10 year period before
Jake, if they don't hear it, they won't become gay and gobble same-sex genitals. That's right. If we don't talk about this, no gays will exist. We will eradicate the transes through just ignoring that they exist. That's actually what happens. Comfort is for the weak, or the happy.
you saw the effects of bad governance. If somebody raised taxes, it would take a few years for that to be felt. Over the course of the pandemic, time got shortened into extraordinarily small bites. And that meant that as soon as they said defund the police, the murder rate just went up immediately. As soon as they said we're not going to enforce the law, massive homeless surge. And so all of the cause and effect became...
Enforce the law, massive homeless surge. Wait, what? Wait, what? I don't actually understand what that means. Broke, bussy, woke, mailbox. Ooh, I like that.
Very, very clear. We're not going to forget about that because we saw what happens in real time when your policies are implemented. We're not going to forget what you did. But here's the thing we're really not going to forget about. What your ambitions are.
Wait, I thought he was going to maybe expand on that so that I could understand what he meant more. But no, homelessness went up because of the pandemic. Wasn't because of the police. Like the economic collapse because of the lack of the Trump administration's seriousness and then subsequent propaganda by people like you in the right-wing media, making sure people wouldn't take this seriously for some fucking reason. Like, what do you mean? Economic downturn, like, literally coincides with COVID and its severity. It's really hard to crawl back from such a thing. But it's happening. Like, am I misremembering, or wasn't there like a period of time where people didn't have to like pay rent for a little bit, pay mortgages for a little bit? We were getting stimulus stuff because we were trying to not have people work, and then that came due, and we had a huge surge. And wasn't this recent? This wasn't even when the defund the police thing was happening. Homelessness surged not too long ago. Yeah, they were sick. Yeah, people got fired. Yeah, what?
Guys would like to do. Take control of all aspects of our life, from our banking to how we raise our kids. We understand the agenda. And if that's not your agenda, forcibly disavow it now. If that's not your agenda, explain why it's not your agenda. Don't just tell me it's not your agenda because I don't believe you. I'm old enough to remember when Barack Obama was anti-gay marriage. Right? So no, I don't believe you. I want you to explain philosophically
what does Barack Obama being anti-gay marriage have to do with
why that is your position. Otherwise, I don't buy it.
Letting kids be gay if they're gay or whatever. I don't.
Okay, the simple point is that when politicians say they are for or against a thing, unless they can explain why they are for or against the thing, they're probably fibbing. So
I agree with that. Like I said, I made a joke earlier about Nancy Pelosi not understanding why she's for any of this shit. Sure. But not like lefties and shit. Certainly not the people in charge of that education.
Ask from Democrats is if you wish us to believe that you have changed your minds, explain why you've changed your minds. Because otherwise
okay, wasn't that like 20 years ago? Like, what the fuck? He's mad about gay marriage now? It's so weird how transparent this is. If you just listen to this rant, right? We started actually talking about the problem, which is apparently kids are gay or something. He's just, the whole thing's just homophobia repackaged into transphobia yet again. The whole thing. He's ranting about fucking gay marriage now. Like, what? Oh, bro. Obergefell v. Hodges was what, 2012? 2016? Something like that? It was a while ago, man. I remember making a YouTube video about that shit.
Just think that you're lying in order to garner votes. And most Americans feel this way as well. Because again, the policies...
it was right before Trump, that's right.
Continue apace. I mean, right now, you have schools that are actively discriminating on the basis of race. And we're
What?
supposed to believe that you guys have changed your agenda.
What?
And then you trot out the
What?
media to pretend that this is a conservatives' pounce issue. As my friend Andrew Clavin says, the rule in the media is when the right does something wrong, the story is the right doing something wrong. When the left does something wrong, the story is Republicans' pounce. This is the latest article at the New York Times along these lines. Quote, when school started last fall at one of the nation's most competitive and prestigious public high schools, the incoming freshman class looked different by design. Compared with previous classes at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in Alexandria, Virginia, there were more black and Hispanic students as well as white students, but fewer Asian students. That is because standardized testing that had once been the key to admission was eliminated. Top students were admitted from a cross-section of schools. Weight was given to poorer students as well as to students learning the English language. Now those policies are at the center of a federal lawsuit filed by an organization called Coalition for TJ.
Wait, that wasn't based on race. That was based on poverty and language.
With the aid of the Pacific Legal Foundation, a conservative group that is taking on public high school admissions and has filed similar lawsuits in New York and Montgomery County, Maryland.
Okay, so I guess the issue with this now is not the gender identity thing at all. We're talking about something totally different. So this is school admissions, and they are weighting those admissions to take into account kids that come from poverty and kids that come from houses where language isn't the first, or English isn't the first language. And he's mad about them getting opportunities at good schools. Apparently, those schools are I have a looming lady behind me. It's just a giggling loomer. I guess I don't understand why we're mad that other people are getting the opportunity. Is it because it's not the normal people that get the opportunities? Like, because don't those kids have opportunities anyway, other than the one school they want to go to or something? I don't know. Let's take a break for Sarah real quick. Dude, she just wants boops. That's all she wants is boops.
If the lawsuit prevails, it could block future efforts at elite public high schools that are trying to diversify their
We'll see
students
if he stays on topic for a second.
by race and income.
I don't think he is.
So, says the New York Times, is now policies are very much against the Democratic agenda.
Okay, so he's just going on. He's just yelling about something other than the topic of the video for a second. Sarah should have interrupted me literally 1 minute later than she did. But she didn't. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is he's just transphobic. It's not really there's not really deep analysis to be had here. He just doesn't like trans kids. That's it. Like there wasn't like any other thing that he said in there that was like, I don't know, he didn't make a good point about not telling kids it. He just was like, kids should not know about their bodies. Why?